This is Summer Walters with Married to Change Radio. We're tuned in now live to Pinnacle of Light. Today's topic is Sacred Harmonics of the Celestial Spheres. And we have a special guest, Darren Curtis from Australia today. Darren, you there?
Yes, welcome. Welcome to our audience, worldwide audience.
Yeah, welcome, everyone. So I've been doing a little bit of reading on this topic, and I'm so excited about you coming on because you've done a lot of studying in this field. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So a bit about us. We're Sacred Resonance, and my name's Darren Curtis. And with Bradley Pitt, we have been looking at how important it is to really bring this idea of this, what we call the light body, the temple of the body and the sacred temples around the earth together in unity, and how we can use these, what we call celestial harmonics, or we call sacred harmonics and sacred sound, and of course color, visualization, and this fusion of the spiritual science together in this new paradigm.
Wow. That's amazing because for so long we've been sort of detuned by civilization and the other frequencies that we have you done any studies or researches on that sort of thing as far as the vibrations and tunes that are currently used in the system, but as opposed to what the healing frequencies, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the ancients always understood the vibration of the earth and the different celestial harmonics and how they come together. And what we believe in Sacred Resonance is they've encoded these in all the ancient temples, all these different grid points, or we call geomagnetic vortex zones around the earth. They've encoded these sacred structures with these sacred harmonics so we can remember these important resonance points. And I think in our Western society now, we're so much into the electronic Wi-Fi and all these unnatural frequencies, even how our buildings are built and even how the different sound waves are now to the airwaves. And so in a sense, we're out of tune, we're out of resonance with that natural resonance. And what we say is we've got to bring this idea of supernature and nature together for this greater harmony and this greater balance and greater sense of healing that we can have for ourselves.
Wow. That's amazing and beautiful. Like, that is a meditation in itself. Thank you so much for, that's the forgotten arts, the things that aren't really spoken about much anymore. And you just told us some sacred secrets right there.
We have to really bring this idea of spirituality and science and, of course, this what we call this new medicine of light, and acknowledging the light body reality, that we are not just a physical body, but we have other energetic bodies. And of course, the esoteric traditions throughout the centuries, the mystical traditions, whether all the sacred scriptures acknowledge this, what we call superluminal light, this higher light body. And we just not just incarnated on this level, but we've incarnated on multiple levels. And we have other energy bodies, other energy systems, and other points of resonance that connect what we would see with our chakras or with our meridian systems, this higher light. And the ancients saw this as the chi or the prana, but we call this the superluminal light, and how we can understand that these lines of energies that run throughout space, run throughout even the basic leaf of a tree, all have these different energy structures within it, these different resonance of harmonics. And we've got to learn how to tap back into that greater network. Now, we see our body as a living temple of different vibrational fields. We have blood system, lymphatic system, nervous system, but we have also other, the acupuncture system. We have, and what we like to think of as axial tonal system. And this is quite important, this idea of axial tonal, because it's a concept brought through in the Keys of Enoch in 1973 by Dr. J.J. Hertak. And this idea that the universe is living. So we have a living earth, as like James talked about, the idea of the Gaia theory, that there's this intelligence in the earth. But there's also what we believe is an intelligence in the universe. The universe is intelligent. It is also billions and billions of years old, And in a sense, our bodies are not just here, but we are what David Bohm talked about, part of this implicate order, this all-embracing field. And our bodies are connected to this all-embracing field, which we can see this as a consciousness field, we can see this as a collective consciousness. But basically, the ancients saw that we are out of tune with the sound current of creation. And this is what brought sacred resonance really into this idea of sacred harmonics, is the idea that there's other sounds in the universe, there's other sounds in the celestial spheres that we are not tuning into, that we're not hearing. And so our music wanted to emulate and wanted to capture this essence. And so in certain states of meditation, myself have heard the buzzing of bees, the rushing of waters, the thunders, and these different other sounds. And I thought, I never heard these in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense, how do I bring this into a composition? And that sort of led our journey into this idea of this sacred harmonics. And then from that, we realized the ancients had all this knowledge already encoded in all their pyramids. And this has been some of our main research, has been looking at the Giza pyramid and the Chichen Itza pyramid of Kukulkan, and how these chambers, these temples, reflect also the patterns of our bodies. And so there's this sacred geometric relationship between the temple within and the temple without that the ancients had. And so we're learning these ancient mysteries again with sacred resonance and how we can put them into musical structure, musical scales, and how we can connect then with these vibratory lines, what we call the actio-tonal lines and what we now call actio-tonal music, this idea, this fifth dimensional circuitry system, or this fifth dimensional or fifth circuitry field extending not only to our cells and even down to the microtubules within our body, but we're connected to this tree of life, this living tree. And this is what your show is about, showing us that we are the living tree, the higher connection with all the branches of all the different civilizations, spiritual cultures that are existing in other energy structures, other spiritual realities.
Wow, that's amazing. I just couldn't have put it into words the way you just put it into words. And that's very true, because there's so many things that different scientists, Pythagoras, and all of the ancients, I know that I read about Pythagoras saying of the sun and the planets, they all emit their own unique hum or orbital resonance. And that, to me, like, our bodies are the sacred temple, like you were saying, and that they have to resonate in tune, in frequency. And that's been lost as far as we're very, out of tune as far as the frequencies and things that are emitted by the electronics and that sort of thing. But it's getting back there with people that do work like what you're doing. It's amazing, and this is healing work, so you're healing their light body. So, and that's your soul. That's your energetic blueprint. That's what connects you to all that is your life force energy and the earth and everything. I'm so honored that you've come on today, and I'm really thankful that you can logically put that into perspective for people. But yeah, I would like to hear a little more about some of the other things that you're doing in your music and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we've been looking at like I said before, some data. We've been working with the Academy for Future Science, and that's the authors of Seeds of Enoch, Dr. J.J. Hurtak and Desiree Hurtak. And they've been entering the sacred regions like Giza and Mexico and going into these temples and measuring the harmonics, measuring the dimensions of the sacred geometric relationships of these temples. And what they're finding is these unique relationships of what we saw as pi, which represents some of the structures of nature, and phi, which is the Fibonacci sequence or the golden section. And these two components, which make up the mathematical structure of nature, are coded in these temples. But what's quite also interesting is that our bodies are also constructed with these sacred geometric relationships of pi and phi. And the harmonics that are found in these temples relate to what we believe certain balancing systems of music certain vibrations, some we can hear, some we can't hear, that extends beyond the normal octave of sound as we know it. And so these temples create this amazing resonance. And when you're in these temples and chanting in them or drumming in them, we can create this resonance and these harmonic build. And so through using certain types of sound generators, taking them in there, we've been measuring these frequencies and finding that the human body itself is a biotransducer. We bring in thought forms, we bring in consciousness realities. We also, in a sense, a body of sound and light, a body of sound and color. And the ancients coded what we believe this higher form of harmonics into these temples to show us the missing frequencies, the missing musical scales that we need to use to rebalance our chakras, rebalance our energetic system, and basically reconnect back into that greater cosmos. And so this is what the ancient rishis or the ancient yogis in ancient India talked about, that we are out of resonance, we're out of balance with that universal sound current, that universal nada. And this is some of our research with all our music, is we've been looking at the resonance of DNA, we've been looking at the resonance of water, we've been looking at the connection between the different resonance of black holes and pulsars, and finding this cosmic sound current. And these new sciences have been stretching out to the spiritual thinkers and the spiritual composers to say, well, we've got all this data, how do we use this? How do we put this together? And so we've been using this data of DNA frequencies and sounds from pulsars and different star systems and the music of the temples to bring it all together. And it's quite interesting that all these different harmonics that relate to the resonance of water, the resonance of DNA, are also the same ones that are found in the temples. So did the ancients have this greater science that we didn't know about? Could they hear, in a sense, the music of the spheres, as you talked about before with the planets and Kepler, and showing these geometric relationships within the planets as musical structures? We believe there is a whole sound structure, there's a whole connection with these greater harmonics that we can tap into. And so we've been documenting this in some of our talks around Australia, and also in our latest DVD, which we've just brought out. The first one was called Spectra, which you've mentioned in some of your blogs, but also the Gates of Light DVD, which is a journey through the stargates, journey through the gates of vibration and the harmonics of vibration as we enter this new paradigm and these new harmonics that are coming to us energetically. We believe we can reconnect with those and recreate a balance in our system.
Right. They all have healing frequencies. I know in what I do in healing, as far as tuning, they have tuning forks, and each one is of a planetary body that tunes to the chakra systems and the different essential oils, and they have vibration, and I've been reading about vibration and health. And so whenever the essential oils vibrate a certain vibration, I think it's above 52, somewhere around there. If it's above that point, disease cannot manifest, but if it's below that point is when disease will start to manifest. So it's very important that our vibrations as the earth and as humans is what we do spiritually and physically, that we're in tune, because it can cause disease and disharmony. And we're retuning, right? We're coming back to that sacred geometry of the man who is made in the image of God, the temple of God, because the body is the temple, and we're connected to the earth and the cosmos. So that's so beautiful. Yeah, and I really think that your work it's amazing for people to be able to heal, because music has been a tool for disempowerment for many nations, and yours is coming in and it's healing the souls of a lot of people. So that's very good for a lot of people. I think we're going to go on break here for a minute, and we're going to have a lady call in, a friend of mine named Jamie. She's going to tell us a little bit about her experience, and then we'll have callers come in after the break, And then we will also have a meditation, hopefully, at the end. And we'll speak some more. And we will be on break now.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, and we're back. This is Summer. With Married to Change. Our topic today is Sacred Harmonics of the Celestial Spheres. And do we have a Jamie with us? Did she call in? If not, that's okay. We can keep talking until she calls in. So I was reading a little bit about the celestial model. The stars and planets are carried around by being embedded in rotating spheres of ethereal, transparent fifth element or quintessence, like jewels set in orbs. And that reality is created by sound, light, and color frequencies. The spheres are harmonics on the symbolic tree of life, like we were talking about earlier. And I was also reading the law, the universal order. There is law behind the order of the universe. The heavens themselves, the planets, and the spheres observe proportion, ratio, and order, and that was by William Shakespeare. Darren, are you there with us?
I am, yeah. That's beautiful, and this reminds me of the Upanishads in the Sanskrit tradition. Of course, the Om, they saw the Om as this primordial throb of the universe, the sound of the Atman, the consciousness. And this is so important. We have to realize this connection to what they call the Atman, but we call the overself or the higher self. This idea of this pre-existent spiritual body of consciousness that we need to reconnect into, that greater consciousness of what the ancients saw as the celestial intelligence. And there are these discrete powers, spiritual beings that we can reconnect with. And this is what we've also been doing with Sacred Resonance, showing the connection with these higher forms of consciousness and how we can bring through these celestial harmonics, not just in the form of sound, but in the form of consciousness, of thought forms, of higher thought forms. And through the mantras and through the sacred vibrations, and this is what the Sanskrit tradition called the nadam, which can be described as the sound current, the stream of life and consciousness, cosmic and supracosmic rhythmical vibrations. We also have the inner sounds of the unheard worlds. Sound is the energy manifest in all matter, is made up of energy, and thus all living things have a sound quality to them. And she said before, everything is vibration. Everything is vibrating at a certain rate, a certain connection. And the ancients understood that these higher energies can be tapped into with these sacred vibrations. And this is why the mantras, the sacred names of these masters of the spiritual intelligence, whether we see this as the eternal light, the unending light, the limitless light of the Ein Sof, all these forms that talked about this higher light, we can tap into that. But we need to create that resonance network, that resonance connection first with that higher consciousness overself body, and draw in that light, draw in those higher geometries. And then when we use the music, when we use the chant, then our body and our energetic pathways begin to open up, and we start having these amazing experiences. And this is what we've experienced in some of our music, is when we've used some of these harmonics with these sacred vibrations, these sacred names, light appeared in the room. Pillars of light, pillars of manifestation. Whether we see this with the aura phenomena or other phenomena, the ancients understood sound, light, and color are all part of the same and one network.
Yeah, that's very... You're putting everything into perspective for people who are into the metaphysical world and see spirit. They see this energy, they feel this energy. You're just basically saying this is the vibration, and there's good and bad energy. So there are people that definitely can send the negative into the spectrum of energies. I think it's very important for us to tune and protect our bodies.
I think this is why daily meditation and daily song or daily prayer or daily intonation is so important, or invocation as well, because we are, in a sense, setting up a resonance in our body to protect ourselves from these vibrations that can seem to be maybe harmful. We're out in the world every day in different vibrations, different cities or different networks of electromagnetic networks. And when we create this resonance in our body, this sacred resonance, then we don't have to be affected by those other fields, those other vibrations.
Because they're more powerful than the other vibration.
Well, that in a way, it sort of what we say puts up what's called an electromagnetic umbrella, in a sense, a spiritual field around us that doesn't allow those unwanted harmonics, those unwanted frequencies to come into our field. And this is what the ancients talked about as the nadis, this what they call the spiritual nervous system. We're so much being detuned to be sensitized to this greater nervous system of life, that in a sense our spiritual nervous system has got out of balance. The nadi currents, the 72,000 nadis are being damaged. The spiritual nerves are being damaged. We need to create this sacred space, this sacred temple within our body through this sacred music. And what we believe is that through music and visuals, using geometry that's based on nature, that's based on a greater connection, we can do an active forms of meditation. We can do active intonations, so we can bring this light and bring this higher spiritual energy into our bodies to create this reconnection with the overself, our true self.
Wow, that is amazing. Just hearing you talk is very healing for, I'm sure, a lot of people. I know it is for me, and it's confirmation in the line of work that I do and with other people, and for other people that experience metaphysical things that are going on around us. Especially right now, it's coming in stronger. We're hitting specific stargates, I've been told, as far as portals to light worlds opening here on Earth, which is phenomenal considering our history of war and things. So these light frequencies will heal the Earth, and they'll heal us. And then what happens? And then what comes? Then we have like a Lumeria or some kind of sacred utopian where people don't need, I mean, it's amazing. Like, that would be heaven on earth, essentially.
Well, we have to create this culture of peace, and but we also have to realize and prepare for this greater reality that's unfolding, this greater light reality. And this is why I said before, we worked on our new DVD with Arts of Consciousness, Sacred Resonance, and the Academy of Future Science, and our great friend Aya from Sedona, this idea that we're going through these gates of vibration, and we've got to prepare our consciousness to resonate with these vibratory geometric forms, these higher light forms. And so this idea of moving through the gates of light, through these stargates, and reconnecting back to the star system. The ancients, quite interestingly, talked about the ancient temples that connected to star points. We know that the Great Pyramid in Giza has a connection to Orion and Pleiades. The Mayan pyramids, of course, are lined up in 2012 to the Galactic Core and to Orion and the Pleiades. Even Aboriginal cultures here in Australia had a great connection to Orion and Pleiades and Sirius. And so these star systems, our parent star systems, are beckoning us to return to those greater realms. And this is why the ancients always meditated at night, always realized there's a greater spectrum of light, a greater spectrum of sound beyond our solar relativity, beyond our solar spectrum. And the ancient Egyptians saw this with the Sphinx, the face of the higher intelligence, the face of the overself, put on the body of the lion, represents us moving beyond our solar spectrum into a greater celestial spectrum, into a greater celestial harmonics, where we can create that heart of compassion, we can create that culture of peace, and really bring what you said, that idea of heaven and earth together. And this is what we've been doing with Sacred Resonance, and you can follow us on facebook.com/Sacred Resonance, or go to www.sacredresonance.com.au and see some of our work and our collaborative work with these different artists around the world, and scientists and spiritual thinkers, and also healers, showing that there is this greater reality that we can tap into.
Yes, that is for sure. And you spoke of Sedona. I know one time I went there with a friend of mine, and he had a didgeridoo and was playing his, and I just noticed that I saw more energies when he was playing at a certain point. Like there are portals, there are swirling vortexes of energy that come from the earth and connect us, like you said, other dimensions, other realms, higher beings, and that sort of thing. So I know that it's very important that we connect to the ancient sacred path and listen to the sacred geometry of nature, like in the building structures and everything like that. Be in harmony with the earth and the rhythms and flows of nature. Go ahead.
You just got onto a point then. The didgeridoo has this really, really low frequency, and this is similar to the Tibetan overtones or the Mongolian chanters, Tibetan monks. We use a lot of these. I myself do throat singing as well. Also play the didgeridoo as well. But all these cultures, whether it be the Egyptians have the horns, they all have these low frequencies which they believe connected to the earth. But they also had these high frequencies, so they had a whole spectrum of sound that they believed they could create the heaven and the earth coming together. And this is what they said: we must keep, especially the Aboriginal cultures here in Australia, saying that these song lines, which we now see within the New Age representing these energy lines on the earth, or these vortex lines or ley lines, and there's these lines of energy that crisscross the earth like our body. Even the earth has this acupuncture meridian system like our body, and the ancients believed, especially the ancient Aboriginals from Australia, believed we must keep retuning those song lines. We must keep singing the song lines. We must keep singing the earth. In a sense, keep that harmonic going, keep that resonance going. They believe that the earth and the humans are here for a purpose, is to create this higher resonance and to bring Earth, Mother Earth, Gaia, into a higher resonance point. And the tree, which the show is about, the idea of the sacred tree, of course, the didgeridoo is made from the tree, and a lot of instruments, the sacred instruments, whether it be the violin, whether it be the cello, whether it be the didgeridoo, or the drums, all made from the wood, all made from the tree. And so since the trees are speaking, the trees are giving those harmonics to us to use, to retune ourselves. And some of these sounds, and this is so important, that we must listen to these sounds live. You must be out there. And this is, I think, really a point that's been raised recently, that we've been lost in the iPod revolution. We've been lost in the whole brainwave revolution, where we got to also connect the whole body as a vibrational
I think we have a caller calling in right now. Are you there, Jamie?
Hi. Hello, Summer. How are you?
Hi, Jamie. Darren, for 1 minute, we have Jamie on the line. I had met her on Facebook, and she was experiencing. Do we have another caller?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, we're here.
This is
Okay.
Symphony Blue with Married to Change Radio. Summer, I just want to tell you, you're doing an awesome job. I'm such a fan of your show. You're doing wonderful. We're so happy to have you with the Married to Change family. Your guest is amazing. I just called to tell you to keep shining and that we love you, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Jamie, hello.
Hi. Hello. I'm here. How are you?
How are you? I just, you told me a couple of your experiences. You came to me, and you were asking me what they were. And if I would like for you to just share them, because I just met you from nowhere, and then we were having sort of similar but different experiences with light and numbers and frequencies. So go ahead.
Exactly. Okay. Well, hello, Darren. If he's still there, I'd like to
Yeah,
say
welcome.
hello. Okay. So in 2010, third week of March, seemingly out of nowhere, in the middle of the night, while I was sleeping, all of a sudden I had these very strong vibrations in my chest. Woke me up out of a dead sleep. And I was not alarmed because there was no pain, but it was very, very intense. There was no variation. It stayed strong for like 20 minutes. I was a little, I wouldn't say concerned because there was no pain, but I was curious. What in the world is happening? A couple nights later, and I guess I should probably mention that I am married, and my husband, he's on a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, so we have our separate quarters. Okay. Within like 2 or 3 nights later, I'm sleeping again. I am awakened somewhere in the middle of the night with vibrations in the center of my chest again. Very, so strong. No pain whatsoever. I am, now this time I'm thinking, okay, I'm biological, but I've taken biology, and I said, I do know I work on electric circuits, we humans, and some, electrical synapses, and within a week and a half, 3 nights, I woke up out of dead sleep with vibrations just slamming me for like 20 minutes at a time. Unwavering. Okay, so the first couple of times I didn't say anything to my husband, but the third morning that I woke up, I told him, I said, I have to tell you something. I said, in the last week and a half, I have been awakened from my sound sleep with vibrations in the center of my chest. I could place my hand there and feel the vibrations, and it was just, and these were the exact words I said to him. I said, I feel like I'm being activated. Okay? It was the strangest thing to say those exact words, but that's exactly what it felt like, and that's what I said. Okay, so
Jamie, I think we're going to go on a break, and then we'll come back with where you left off about activation, And we're going on break now, and I'm excited. This is fun. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Summer. It's a blessing. Thank you so much.
And stay on for after the break.
I'll be right here.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back.
Hello.
Hey, this is Change Radio. We're listening to Pinnacle of Light, and this is Sacred Harmonics of the Celestial Spheres. And Jamie, you were just telling us about what you felt was an activation.
And it is exactly what I called it when I finally, the third time I woke up and told my husband about it. I said, I feel like I'm being activated. That's exactly what it felt like.
That's neat. And so then what else happened? Were you seeing other things? I mean, you were starting to see light, you said, and then anything else?
Yes. Many things. Many things. So the vibrations in my chest happened like maybe I wish I would have journaled this whole thing, but I didn't know how it was going to continue or what was going on. But it's okay. Things went really kind of crazy. It happened about 8 to 10 times within probably about a month and a half period. The same frequency, the same strength, the same length of time. Again, no pain, no discomfort whatsoever. Suddenly, while this was happening to me, I start hearing a high-pitched frequency in my left ear, like almost around the clock. It wasn't disturbing, but it was there. I also, during this phase of time, I all of a sudden, and now I have to keep my bedroom very, very dark. So my windows were just totally, there was no light allowed into my room because I need to sleep in the blackness. I suddenly, in my bedroom, I'm looking at my ceiling, and all of a sudden this magenta, fuchsia-colored I mean, I don't want to call it light because it didn't seem that there was no source for the light that I could see, but there was a glow of fuchsia, magenta that would kind of swirl around and instantly into these electric purples, electric blues, and I would close my eyes and it would continue within my head with my eyes closed, and then I would open my eyes and there it would be. Just it was just the most incredible thing, and it would just kind of continuously morph from magenta fuchsia tone to the electric purples, electric blues. That
right.
I mean, it was absolutely stunning. And of course, okay, that continued nightly, and then the vibrations actually moved from my chest to my heart area after about a month.
Yeah, I remember you asking me, and you said something, and I was like, each one of those are correlated to a gland. You felt it, like your chest area, and where else did you feel it?
They moved. It probably happened about 8 to 10 times in my chest, and then they stopped in my chest and actually moved into my heart area, which was a little disconcerting. Again, there was no pain, but this constant vibration in my heart area. That happened probably about 6 to 8 times. Now the glowing is continuing. After the vibrations stopped in my heart area, they moved to the soft spot at the base of my skull. And I would wake up just vibing out in that area. And
right.
I went to my doctor, and I asked if she knew anything, had ever heard of anything about this, which she didn't, but okay. So, anyway, one night, now things are really starting to get crazy with me. One night, I go to bed. I am in my bedroom under 5 minutes, just planning on going to sleep. Within 3 minutes of being in my bedroom with my eyes closed, all of a sudden these pillars, I call them pillars, these pillars of white light. I'm talking very bright white light. They shot off from peripheral, temple to temple, from my peripheral vision. My eyes were closed. They shot off from one side to the other and just rippled across from side to side, from both peripheral to peripheral, like this. And I am telling you, that stuff shot off in my head so bright, I was like, what in the world now? I mean, stuff is happening left and right. I started experiencing what felt like I would wake up in the middle of the night with this whoosh, this sensation of whoosh. It felt like my soul was either coming or going. I have no recollection of where it went to or anything like that. But
right.
Now the vibrations, the glowing, the whoosh of my soul. I know it was my soul coming and going, or one or the other. One night it happened twice. Woke me up 2 times.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I know we've been receiving waves of harmonic frequencies. That, Darren, didn't you say something about the earth having certain frequency in the temples, and weren't there certain like beams of light almost emanating from these temples that are connected to the ley line energies, the electromagnetic currents? Darren, you there with us? I don't know if he's on there with us now.
Hello?
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, I was on hold, I think. Yeah, so the ancients saw this idea. I think this is what Jamie's probably could be connected with, this experience of what's called the Turiya system. And the ancient Buddhists had this idea that the heart and the mind, or the heart and the neocortex, are connected together with the higher overself body. And that with this connection of connecting the vibrations of the heart, opening what's called the opening of the diamond heart, the diamond sutra, the heart of compassion, with the higher universal mind, we create this loop mechanism called the Turiya system, this idea of connecting the human self to the overself. And when we create that resonance in our body, we can open our energetic body to a whole spectrum of sound. We only hear a certain limited spectrum from 20 to 20,000 hertz. Dolphins and other whales and other beautiful creatures can hear up to 300,000 hertz. So we're only limited to what we can hear and what we can feel. And this is where I wanted to draw into this idea of what's called medical astronomy, and this idea that we're going into this new age of consciousness of sound and light. And I just want to read a quote from the Keys of Enoch in Key 317. And the Keys says, the keys of future luminaries, these higher light beings, tell us that molecular biology will work within medical astronomy towards adjusting geometric pressure fluctuations, which underlie mechanisms controlling immune reactions to new limbs, new organs, new tissues, with new axial lines, stimulated by noise, temperature, calibration. This idea that this current of sound is connected with us. And it goes on to say in verse 59, through the axial arrangement, both acoustical vibrations of spiritual light and sustaining love are conveyed to the human system, bringing the joy and the glory of the living light. Metatron showed me how the axial lines are connected with a whole series of universal waveforms, which include sonic and ultrasonic frequencies. Universal waveforms establish the vibrations which set the pattern for the formation of life. The key then opens the door for sonic vibrations, sound, and ultrasound in crystalline structure, generating gravitational light within the body. And so this idea that this higher intelligence are bringing these connections with our energy bodies and opening it up is quite well accepted in all ancient traditions, whether it be the Kundalini awakening, whether it be the opening of the Turiya system, whether it be opening of the spiritual Nadi system. All the cultures realize that these higher sounds and these higher geometries of light and color are connected. There can be no separation between light, color, and sound. And so these all connect on a higher level where we can open out the resonance of our body, but we have to do it in that sacred space. We have to find that daily sacred space, a daily connection where we can silence the mind. Otherwise, we just waves of vibration that are chopping around like the sea. We need to settle and calm the water so we can feel those sensitive vibrations become sensitized. And sometimes these experiences like Jamie's brings us back into that space. It sends a wake-up call to say, there is a greater universe, there is a greater connection, and there is greater experiences to be had beyond our three-dimensional limitation. And we can see this within physics of going up into the fifth or sixth dimension, or we can see this as the idea of connecting to the spiritual world. But there is this greater resonance and greater sound that we can connect with. And so This is where we've been working, especially with our CD Luminos, and you can go onto our website and go through CD Baby, which is our download as an MP3, or you can buy it off our website. This idea of the sonic star codes of accidental music, this idea that the Luminos is the experience of cosmic sound. This is what I described in the CD, and its relationship to inner color resonance, pyramidal frequencies, pi and phi ratios, and through these supersonics, you can connect your vibratory fields to be in phase with the greater acutonal acupuncture system for healing, thought expansion, and consciousness raising. And so Luminos is about connecting to the inner light, the inner sound, to bring back that balance. And we need to bring back that balance to be able to bring this culture of peace, bring this culture of harmony back. And what I believe music and meditation can really do this, can really balance the grid network, can really activate these sacred points.
That is very true. I wanted to get your information again to give to people out there that are listening and that actually want your information on Facebook. You said it was Sacred Resonance. Could you tell us that again?
So if you go to facebook.com/Sacred Resonance, that's SACREDRESONANCE, or go to sacredresonance.com.au. You can see some of our CDs, DVDs for sale as well. We have DVDs as digital downloads. We also have them as you can buy them off our website. And some of our articles,
amazing work,
explaining connection between the temples and our body and how we can create this greater resonance. And so this next year we're exploring the whole idea of plant communication, and this is for our Adelaide Fringe 2015 show, this idea that the plants have this primary perception, have this greater nervous system, greater consciousness that we can tap into to bring in resonance. And the plants are going to be connected up to certain sounds through certain electrodes, and we create this connection between the human and the plant, this biofeedback, where we can give the plants a voice, a sound. And this is quite interesting. So you can look at some of our research coming up there through our website in the next couple of days. Will be up on the website. So we're really exploring this whole idea of nature and supernature and how the two come together, how we can recreate this sacred balance, this sacred harmony. And I think this is important, really, in the current age. We need to become what we call the sacred activist, this idea of bringing the sacred, bringing that peacefulness, bringing that serenity into the activist. We need to bring the mystical of the sacred. We need to bring the activist, the idea of doing the work, doing the teaching, doing the groundwork, doing the real field work, and bringing the two together so we can have this higher consciousness, understanding of who we are, where we're going, and basically where we've come from, and how we can recreate that.
It's a crystalline consciousness of a structure that connects us to the earth, a crystalline gridded structure like
that's
structure.
Yeah. And crystalline structure is geometric in nature. It's a sacred geometry structure, whether it be the basic tetrahedron or the basic pyramid, which forms the whole geometric relationship of life. We see this within our blood, being the shape of a Star of David. We see this within the pyramidal brain cells. We have the pyramidal neurons, the shape of a pyramid. Water is crystalline. Our body is 70% water. Our blood is crystalline. Our bones are crystalline. We are basically a living crystal, a living vibrating crystal of resonance. And we can use sound and this inner crystalline science of the mind, of the heart, and of the structure of the energetic body to really create this resonance. And when we know the resonance points, we know the resonance of the sacred sound that the ancients left to us, we can recreate that. And what I believe is that a lot of music in the West, especially a lot of contemporary music, a lot of pop music, a lot of New Age music, have lost the idea of an understanding of the musical scales the ancients had. What we're trying to do in Sacred Resonance is we're trying to bring back that ancient science. We're trying to bring back the ancient lost harmonic science to really recreate this experience. And the experiences people are having with our music and other artists that we're connected with that are using these patterns are really showing us that this works. The ancients had this greater science, and we need to move away from this whole plug-and-play culture, whole musical culture of just the bells, in a sense, the whistles and the triangles of musical structure, but move into this high musical structure where we understand really the science of sound, really the science of the tempo, the science of the music of the spheres and celestial harmonics. We need to really grasp this. And when we do, what we believe is that we'll start having these experiences like Jamie had. We'll be able to generate these experiences where we can take the seeds like Uri Geller can do and say grow, and the seeds start growing. We can take the power of healing of the hands and produce the light like we have in the documentary, The Man of Light, light from his hand. We can, and this has been measured through Andrei Baharich in the 1960s and 70s, where he measured this 8 hertz frequency coming out of the hands of healers in Brazil. And this is also the same frequency of the Schumann resonance of the Earth, this 7.8 hertz, this 8 hertz frequency. We can generate this sound current through our body. And in a sense, we can't hear this, but in a sense, people can feel this when we resonate this.
Do we have time left to do a meditation?
That'd be great.
I would really like to. Jamie, can you give us some quick info how to contact you? And then we were going to move into Darren's meditation.
Absolutely. Anybody who would like to contact me, my email address is Belladonis, BELADONIS 1111 @gmail.com.
Okay, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It means the world to me that you had the courage to do that, because that's hard to talk about these days and age, and now it's everything that's happening.
Yeah, right. It was a big, it was a big happening, and I'm entirely blessed. And once again, I thank Darren. It's been wonderful listening to him. He has been a healer for me, and I'm so blessed to have you as my friend, because when I was kind of going crazy about everything and bottom tones, you really helped me through things I didn't understand and led me to, fields of research that helped me understand better and better, and learning more. But
yeah, we all are. Indeed. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having come on. And Darren, are you about ready to
I'm ready.
Get that going?
So I'm going to read from a book by Dr. J.J. Meditation, based upon The Over Self-Awakening, a guide to the schoolhouse of the soul. You can get this through seedsofenoch.org. I'm going to join this with my meditation and some of their sacred words of understanding the temple within and the higher music and the higher thought to harmonize with us. And so as we hear the sacred harmonics, we hear the celestial spheres of creation. May the sacred temples of the East come together with those in the West to establish a unity in preparation for the coming of planetary changes. And may the fuller Heart Sutra also tells us of the Bodhisattva of Kuan Yin, the mother of compassion, who opens up our heart of compassion. Let us take the 5 bodies. Let us take the higher networks of light and bring them together and to harmonize with us. And our divine eternal mother, may we walk upon the white clouds of the great spirit of the Americas, as do the First Nation peoples. And may we experience the dream time, as do the Aboriginal elders of Australia. And may the sacred bird of the dove come together with the condor of South America, with the eagle of North America, with the phoenix of Australia, the sacred bird, the sacred song of the birds of creation come together. Let us all be gathered together into the heavens to meet the Lords of Light, beings of the high creation. And we give thanks now for we are truly alive at this sacred time. And O Divine Mother, spreading your blue-white canopy, manifest it. I seek to purify my subjects, offering divine will. I know that you want ask, and I ask that you ensure that my desires, no matter how well intended I believe them to be, do not overshadow my true path. Know that I am ready at all times to forego my actions if it be your wish. In all things I will aim at nothing and desire nothing except your will. Let your bountiful presence as the Virgin of Virgins provide an ever-perfecting flow to my inward path of discovering the gifts of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, and purify my mind and soul to recognize and embrace the power of peace and harmony with all parts of me, within all humanity. And I experience the truth that the energies within me manifest without. Help me to work with your power of creation and recreation in perfect harmony with you. And let your music sing with me and through me, that I may play my part as the instrument in the music of the spheres. We visualize the blue-white light of peace showering upon our Christed Overself, our Atman. The next level of the tree of life begins to unfold to the music of the spheres. The virgin energy, the sacred energy of us, now gives a more intense flowering of creative energy. As we intone the sacred names in the temples and the holy centers upon the planet, with the power of the Divine Mother, with the power of the Divine Father, the Creator Spirit, we see with the returning of the clouds of the Shekinah, the presence of the watchers, the higher beings of light. The holarchy, the beings of high intelligence, with the Divine Mother of the earth, the Divine Father of the heavens come together. And with the vibrations of El Elyon, the Most High God, the background hum of the celestial harmonics, we sing the vibrations 12 times to open the 12 stargates of high creation to allow the high resonance to come through. And as we sing with the sacred vibration of Melchizedek, of the Most High God, El Elyon, breathe in the golden light. Breathe in the thought forms of high creation. We become the living temple. We become the living biotransducer for light and sound for high creation. As we open up our hearts of compassion, we come into balance and resonance. The divine I am that I am. We bless the four directions of the earth, the four directions of the heavens. The celestial temple of the high universe is now ours to connect with and reclaim our birthright, our embryo God self, the I am that I am, Ea Asher Ea. And so the blessings rain forth in peace and preparation, the coming of the hosts of light, the divine hierarchy of masters of the high intelligence. We bless the sacred points of the earth, the sacred points in the heavens. Say, four directions, raising up the light. Amen, 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 and amen.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for that wonderful meditation. We were on Married to Change Radio, The number is 516-590-0975. Please tune in next week. Darren, I'm so honored for the sacred vibrations you've infused in my life, and I know the lives of many, and you're truly a light being incarnated, and I thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, and thank you for being the light and the pinnacle of light we all must be. And thank you to the audience, worldwide audience. We're Sacred Resonance, and please find us and join us on the web and our latest projects. We thank you once again. Shalom, peace.
Thank you.